Hello and welcome to CX Today. I'm Rhys Fisher, Deputy Editor, and for today's Big CX Update, I'm delighted to be joined by Derek Corcoran, the founder and CEO of Scorebuddy. Derek, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks, Rhys, and hello, everybody. Great to do this.
Okay, great. Maybe could you start just by sharing a little bit about your professional background, please?
Yeah, look, I started off my career in the telecommunications industry, right? So would have worked with a carrier in the earlier years, and then with equipment providers, the likes of AT&T and T and Lucid Technologies. So that definitely gave me exposure to the contact center segment, and I began to understand the requirements and business requirements in that space. And it certainly informed my decision to set up Sentient, which was the parent company of Scorebuddy, the product we're talking about. So we would have had a telephony platform, which was an IVR speech-enabled IVR platform, and we would have brought the telephony traffic and transactions to that. And we were providing services like credit card payments and voice surveys, meter readings on behalf of utilities and a variety of other clients, banks, etc. So that was the early stages of the company. And as we went through that, we obviously were still getting exposure to the contact center customer base. And it was clear when a client came to us, a BPO client came to us looking for a solution to collect quality scores and then export them into a BI tool, that there was a requirement there, right? And that was the very early design days of the precursor of Scorebuddy, which was a product called QMS. But once we built that and deployed it, very quickly we had a couple of other BPOs come to us knocking on the door and going, really like the look of that, can I have some of that? So clearly there was a problem there that was, ubiquitous across the contact center and across multiple sectors. And they needed a streamlining solution for their QA frameworks and processes. So that's what gave rise to Scorebuddy, and we've continued to evolve and scale on the back of that.
Great. So sticking with you, what would you say are maybe some fun facts about you that highlight your personality and your personal achievements?
Okay, well, look, I'm not going to be too esoteric about this, but I suppose I like music. I play a couple of instruments, and in the last number of years, I got involved with a musical society. So I've actually tread the boards, right? So so a couple of musicals under my belt.
Outstanding. That might be the first musical CEO we've had on here. So, so moving on, what aspects of your job would you say, most passionate about?
I suppose ultimately I'm a product guy, really. I mean, I love making stuff, and it's dangerous when you have a software company because you can almost make anything your imagination conceives of, which is dangerous. But I do. What gives me a real buzz is when we get customer feedback on something, a new feature that we've deployed, and they're giving us a big thumbs up, or it's changed their day. I have to say that's what gives me my jollies, right? Now, having said that, we're a commercial outfit, and obviously we have to monetize that. But I suppose at core, I just love making stuff, and the team around me, they're constantly coming to me with ideas and going, "Wow, that's cool. Let's do that." So that's the bit that excites me, I think.
Yeah. Could you maybe walk us through what a typical day looks like for you?
Typical day, I suppose, certainly a week starts with exec and management meetings where we sit down with the teams and the team leads, and we're talking about hot topics and issues either from last week or stuff we want to do this week. So we're laying out the week. After that, I end up in a variety of meetings, and they could be, product workshops, design workshops. They could be customer engagement meetings where we have an executive outreach program where we reach out to senior people in our customer base and make sure that they have full access. Working with the customer support team, we're always rolling out new platforms internally as well. So there's project work as well. So really, as a CEO, you wear many hats, right? But also, I suppose I can't take my eye off the strategic aspect. We have a scaling plan in place where we want to grow the business over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's not going to happen by itself. We have to anticipate what the market is looking for, what our customers are asking for. And our roadmap has to reflect that. And then our deployment and development has to reflect that. So it's a variety of activities.
Yeah. I think that moves quite nicely on to our next section here. We're going to look more at the company. So could you give us your best elevator pitch? How would you describe your company in a nutshell?
I'd probably describe the product rather than the company. I think people look at product first and company afterwards. But in terms of the product, it's a comprehensive quality assessment platform for use by contact centers across multiple sectors. It's got a front to back workflow and solution that takes conversations that are unstructured, structures them for evaluations, makes them available through workflows for evaluation, gives feedback to the agents, generates huge amounts of data in terms of data, business intelligence, and then provides coaching and learning elements and tools to actually deliver the improved performance and the information that you've gathered through the process. So the impact from a business point of view is efficiency, communications, agent engagement, and business intelligence, and varying degrees of each.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is unique about your company culture?
Company culture. We are a medium-sized company, right? We've got 60 employees. We're all located in the same location, although work from home has had its impact. But essentially, it's a mix of experience and youthful exuberance, which is a heady cocktail for any company. And I suppose at the heart of it, we're driven by the customer. So if a customer's upset, we get upset. If a customer's happy, we're really happy. And so that sort of drives the internal dialogue, if you like, and the priorities in terms of what we do day to day. And I know it's a cliche, but really, right from day one, the customer was at the heart of what we do, because we want to retain customers over the long period.
Yeah, of course. Could you highlight maybe any recent awards or accolades that the company has received?
Yeah, look, we're very proud. We're for people who don't know, G2 would be a software recommender platform, a bit like Trustpilot for software, and we've been the recipient of a number of awards from G2. It's driven by user reviews, so we can say as much as we like, but it doesn't change the outcome. It's really the users who score the various vendors, and we've been so proud to receive. We're second in our category in terms of QA, and only last week we were notified that we're listed in the best software vendors for 2025 on the G2 report. So pretty impressed with ourselves over that, right? So we'll probably have some bubbles on the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So moving on to maybe more your market model now. How would you say you approach the market? Can you perhaps describe your partner ecosystem and go-to-market strategies?
Yeah, so our primary go-to-market strategy is direct, right? So, and I'll talk about partners in a moment, but primarily we're responsible for product ideation, product development, product deployment, the commercial side of that, and the support side on the back end. So we're a full stack organization. We are focused on probably anything from 50 agent contact centers. We love logos that are growing fast and ambitious, and they could start small with us and evolve. But also we like complexity. So we've grown up in an enterprise space throughout my career, and in terms of the product, it sort of germinated in an enterprise space. So we've always had that configurability, flexibility component. It's multi-tenant natively, for instance. So the ideal customer sweet spot, if you like, for us might be, a customer with 1,500 agents or thereabouts in 5 different locations, 3 of which are outsourced partners, the rest of which are in-house with multiple front-end systems. That we're a really good fit for that sort of solution. Having said that, we work with multiple other profiles where it's much less complex, but the needs are maturing and evolving with us, so they can stay with the platform as their needs change and become more challenging, right? So that's really how we go about it. In terms of our partnering, I suppose I would describe. I mentioned the idea of all these integrations that we need at the front end to access the conversations between customer service agents and their customers. So they would almost be silent partners. We have to develop a technical connector, an API that integrates into those environments, and we would have a long list of those. But I suppose the ones that we work more closely with, where we have a slightly deeper technical integration, would be Intercom, which are sort of a mid-market going up into the enterprise space. Amazon Connect, who are a huge infrastructure gorilla in the industry, and Genesis, who would be a very well-known CCaaS vendor and platform, right? So we would work with them on projects and on a partnering basis. Yeah.
Great. So this has been touched on a little, but would you like to just maybe expand a little bit on your key products and technologies, and perhaps what make them relevant in today's business environment?
Okay. Well, look, just acknowledging that the contact center technical ecosystem is beginning to change and flex with the addition of new exciting technologies, right? So I'll touch off that in a moment, but essentially, if I was to describe our platform, it's an end-to-end solution, right? So we're taking all those unstructured conversations that are happening in IM platforms, in CCaaS platforms, on audio platforms, right? And that information is coming through into our environment. We're applying machine learning and natural language processing algorithms to that, and we're structuring that data, which means that we're uncovering reasons to call, uncovering the topics that are being discussed, and we can categorize those. So you imagine a scenario where the QA manager wants to look at all the subscription cancellations that happened last month and try and understand the reasons behind that. So we have an engine at the front end that analyzes those conversations and makes them available then to the QA team. The QA team then will take those and selectively choose the ones they want to analyze. And as they add the scoring and the evaluation and they annotate that then gets played back to the agent, right? So the agent is a crucial part of this exercise, because if the agent isn't engaged and trusting in the QA process, they're not going to change their behaviors on the back of it, right? So if you think about it as a linear process, the modules and the components that we have would be the conversation analytics at the front end, which is fed by a number of different connectors. The QA core, which is where the evaluators and the agents live, and the business analysts in terms of reporting and discovery. And then at the back end, you've got coaching and learning modules, which then deploy change, if you like, in the shape of personalized coaching or online training applied through the QA system to the agents that need it. So that really is the end-to-end. We're certainly one of a short number where we have an embedded BI tool to live off and ingest all of this data that's been generated. So people don't particularly realize, but the QA environment is a huge source of data. You've got performance data associated with metadata from the CCaaS. You've got new data from conversation analytics, and you can combine all of that to develop really interesting views of what's going on in your business. But you need a tool to visualize that, to do that. So we have an embedded BI tool that lives off all of that data, and so that would be another component that, again, as an enterprise customer, they would feel that's a particularly important aspect.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing more and more of that. People recognizing the importance of handling that data and maximizing the potential of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So moving on maybe to more of your strategy, what would you say your typical implementation strategy looks like? And how do you ensure ongoing support and customer success post-implementation?
Look, a standard implementation would involve a project plan that has success criteria agreed and built into it at the very outset. So our objective is to onboard our customers and almost guarantee that they're going to get the business impact that they thought they were going to get when they made the decision. So our customer success teams are primed on that. It's a combination of real-time training using the onboarding team and also online courses. So using our embedded learning management system, we've got something called Scorebuddy Academy, and it has a number of online courses that the stakeholders in any deployment can engage in, right? We have a very comprehensive knowledge base as well. So that's all information supporting the rollout. And we have check-ins. So on big projects, we could have anything from daily stand-ups to weekly check-ins. And on lighter projects, then there'd be at least weekly, and then a 30, 60, 90-day full deep dive check-in, right? So it's designed for success, put it that way, right? What's changing things a little bit is the introduction of AI into the equation. And so some of the onboarding with AI is quite different. You might be doing comparative AI auto scoring with human scoring and looking for variations and variability. So that does add a layer of complexity, I have to say, but all within the scope of the onboarding.
Moving on to perhaps the customer side of things, what topics are currently dominating your conversation with customers and partners? And what would you say they're most interested in or curious about? And what challenges are they facing the most?
I think the challenges are probably the perennial challenges of agent engagement, agent performance, and agent retention, right? So, if you look at it at the operational level, the other big drivers in our industry are the automation conversations. So the Gen AI impact in terms of both voice bots and also chat bots, that's beginning to have an effect. But it's not as quick a rollout as I would have anticipated, but it's happening. And I think 2025 is going to be the year where you're going to see some significant adoption, right? So what does that mean for any contact center that's looking at these changes and trends? Well, it means that you're going to have more self-service at the front end. You're probably going to have more agent assist in real time at the point where the customer is interacting with the agent. You're going to have hybrid conversations where some of it was through the bot and then it got transferred to the agent and needs now to be assessed there. So from a QA manager's point of view, it's a slightly changing landscape. The same principles more or less apply insofar as, these new conversation sources just need to be treated in the same way you would treat a human agent. So if you're wondering whether the bot addressed the customer appropriately, used the right form of language, demonstrated empathy with the problem, understood the problem, and cured the problem, they're exactly the same things you care about when you're evaluating an agent. So I think AI is a big conversation piece. There are there's some resistance within organizations or inertia in terms of adoption, mainly because of the uncertainty and also data security. So CIOs and CTOs are getting more involved in the conversation, going, we have policy around this and we have to stay within those policy guidelines. So we're finding we're talking a lot more with CTOs and CIOs where AI is part of the deployment. In terms of how that's going to affect the QA team, so having acknowledged that, well, the bots are just another source of conversations to be looked at and monitored, what can we give them to make their lives easier and to make them more efficient? So introducing AI into the Scorebuddy platform means automation and augmentation. The automation piece is, okay, how many conversations can we automatically score without a human evaluator? And the augmentation piece is for the ones that we can't do effectively with that process. How can we make it easier and quicker for the evaluator to complete those evaluations? So we're taking Gen AI and we're rolling it out within the platform with those two themes in mind. On the automation piece, we're seeing in some cases 100% coverage with 100% scoring. But there are aspects of an evaluation that Gen AI is not particularly good at, right? Certainly if it doesn't have referenceable information in the conversation to adjudicate, that's probably not a great thing because AI will generally give you an answer one way or the other, right? So we're working with our customer base, experimenting with their data sets and with their inclusion and support, and we're looking at where there are variations. Are we seeing biases, for instance, in the Gen AI scoring versus human scoring, or vice versa? So conversation pieces with our customers are things like, how do I calibrate AI scores if I'm doing 100% scoring? How do I make sure that the scores are valid? So it's interesting. It's affecting QA teams at an operational level. It is absolutely going to enhance their capability in terms of the breadth of conversations they can look at, and the depth to which they can go into those conversations. So they can do things they couldn't do before. They can discover stuff they couldn't discover before without huge manpower. But equally, they can have assistance in terms of their day job, when they're doing the evaluations. And there's also a recommender layer in terms of AI. So if you imagine a supervisor trying to decide what coaching an agent needs to improve their performance, they might be looking back over 3 or 4 or 5 scores. AI can look over 200 scores and determine what the pattern is and make a recommendation for that, for a personalized coaching plan for that agent. So you can imagine that is going to be dramatically efficient for setting up coaching sessions at a basic level. So we think it's going to change. I think the contact center is, in terms of learning new skills, they don't need to be prompt engineers, but they do need to understand how to interact with the AI assistants in order to get the best out of it. And we can help with that as a vendor.
Yeah. This next question, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, talking about the role AI is going to play moving forward. But how would you say your company approaches innovation?
The way we approach innovation, you're always trying to look at the next horizon, right? And you're sort of looking at new startups, you're looking at technology as it changes and evolves. We all got caught in the hot back in November when, OpenAI hit the streets and went, wow, that's cool. But immediately you start thinking, well, okay, how can we apply that? And so, we're always looking over the horizon and trying to see what potential technologies might emerge that we could bring to our customers and enhance their business outcomes. But you're also listening closely to the customer base, because they're doing the same thing. They're looking ahead for their organization, going, what's going to happen next? And so as a vendor, we need to be listening closely to our customers. In some cases, we're experimenting with them. So some of our customers are very energized around the AI potential, and we're working closely with them to see how do we make that work on their behalf, right? And iron out any wrinkles. So it's a combination of research, internal sort of ideation and innovation. So playing around with some of the tech and seeing what can we make it do, and then trying to productize that with the help of customers, so that we don't go off on a tangent to their needs, and that's absolutely critical for a company like us.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you see as the biggest opportunity in your industry right now?
It's got to be AI in all its guises, right? I think if you think about opportunity in terms of budget, right? The budget that is going to be spent on AI or AI-related projects is going to dramatically increase over the next 3 to 5 years, and there's going to be some standout failures, but also some standout successes. And so I think as that gains momentum, and as enterprises they address some of the uncertainties that they absolutely should have about AI. And there's regulation coming in as well that's beginning to sort of impact decision making. So combination of those factors, but it's got to be AI is the headline, right? And as I say, it's a self-service piece. It's going to be the live assistance piece, and then it's going to be the augmentation and the recommendation piece, right? So yeah, that's where the fund's coming from.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be, like you touched on there, how people look at different ways of using the power of AI, which is going to be really interesting in the next.
And it has to be practical. It can't be AI for the sake of AI. CFOs are going to be looking at the spend and going, well, what was my return on investment on that? So there's a certain amount of practicality has to be applied.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a nice place to end things today.
Great.
Thank you again for joining me. It's been
my pleasure, Rhys.
Great. No, it's been a really interesting chat. And I'd also just like to thank our viewers for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe on the channel, and keep an eye out on cxtoday.com for more stories like these. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Cheers.